Hey, this is Derek, and I like to talk about the music business and the media business and personal platforms. And this is my inaugural episode on Instagram TV, so I'm shooting it here in the portrait mode. And today's topic is going to be about independent artists and payola. All right, so why do I want to talk about this topic? Well, because most independent artists don't really realize that at the end of the day, and I'm talking about the music business here, that they are in competition with media conglomerates, publicly traded multi-billion-dollar media conglomerates, and they've been in the game for over 100 years, and so they're very good at it, and you're kind of outnumbered, you're outspent, kind of on every level. So I'm delivering some bad news to you here today. So when popular music was able to even be recorded, which came around in the early 20th centuries, and then recorded music started taking off in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, it became pretty clear quickly to the people and companies behind it that they could easily just pay people to play their music, either at a dance hall or when radio came online. They could play DJs at radio stations to play their music, and it was highly effective. But then people also started to notice that this practice also created an unfair marketplace where just people with the most money would just effectively dominate, and that's the end of story. And, at some level, I mean, people will say, all right, this is just capitalism at work. But at the same time, you have to have some set of playing field and level playing field in any business. And big businesses are always regulated at some level. And so that started to happen. But over the last 20 years or maybe 30 years, the big media conglomerates started to get around these laws by simply, instead of exchanging cash, would instead take radio executives, or now, as of recent years, influential playlist people out on all expense paid trips. And so you go to some destination, you get great food, you get great entertainment, and part of the entertainment is meeting the artists on that label or management team or media company or whatever it is that they're trying to push. And then automagically the people that were invited to those events then start to put those artists onto their playlists, and then they start showing up on Billboard charts. And so a lot of radio people that I talk to would say, you know what, these trips, they don't have any influence on what I play. But there's two problems with that. Number one, if these trips weren't effective, the record labels would not be doing them. And so they are effective. And also, if you look at the Billboard charts, in general, you will see a list of the companies who are actively providing those trips. And it's very rare to see independent artists just show up out of nowhere onto a Billboard chart because people like the music. And so they're definitely correlated. And so to say it doesn't have influence on what you play, it's just not true. It's just flat out not true. Record company execs know that it does. And the Billboard chart says that it does. So there you go. So independent artists, you guys largely don't know that this happens behind the scenes. And when you add up the number of companies who are doing it, and most of them do it about once a quarter, so that almost adds up to a radio exec, for example, going out on a trip, all expense paid trip at from a label about once a month. And so that's quite often. And so as an independent artist making music, that's a hard thing to compete against in terms of mind share. So why am I beating this drum? Why does this even matter? Why do I even care about independent artists? Well, independent artists are the future of music, and it's really the future of the vibrancy of the overall music market, because in recent years with streaming, it's become very difficult for everybody to survive, from labels to management companies, booking agencies, publishers, songwriters, everybody it's just hard to survive. And so everybody's trimming, trying to find ways to survive when you're only getting a tenth of a penny, or at best maybe half of a penny per play. And when you used to get 99 cents a download, or 10 or 15 bucks an album or CD. And so a lot of artists now are just saying, hey, you know what? I can run my own show. I'm savvy enough. I've got my digital distribution account. I can put my albums up. I just need some friends, family, fans, whatever, and I'll employ them, and then I can run my own show. And so that should be applauded, and because it's happening all over the place right now. And fortunately, we have been seeing some successful independent artists. I can name some. Won't go into that right now. I just want to focus on the concept that independent artists are the future to music industry growth. And so we, as music industry professionals, need to make sure that independent artists have an equal shot against the conglomerates to be seen and heard. And so many things I see in practice show that, in fact, the tables are still totally against the independent artists. And the more that we allow that to happen, the more it will just be dominated by a few companies, and then the overall market suffers. And one area where I see this is in my own market that I've been involved in for 15 years, and that is the Christian music market, which is accounted for about 14% of the overall annual music sales. But in recent years, that has been in decline. So I think it's probably under 9% now. And there are several reasons for it, but I believe one of the main reasons is because of our lack of embracing of the independents when there are so many. So I would say right now in Christian music, there's probably fewer than like 50 signed artists in the entire genre. But when you look at the database of newreleasetoday.com, which is the largest Christian music site on the internet, there's over 2,000 artists involved with the market who are saying, hey, I want to be active and I want to be promoted. And so when you boil that down, it means that radio and what's appearing on radio charts is less than 2% of the overall market. And so again, a counter argument is like, well, that's the top 2%. Well, the problem is when you have a declining market, that's not helping anybody. The 2% isn't helping anybody. It means that a few companies are winning and dominating, and people are handing them the market, and we're all going to be out of jobs in a short while, including radio people, including label people, publishers, and songwriters. And we've greatly seen this effect in the last 5 years. So from the Dove Awards, which are very difficult to win for an independent artist, there's no direct path that I know of a single independent artist on their own, winning on their own merit of the music, winning a Dove Award. I don't even know if that can happen. And if it does happen, I would love to know how that can happen, because the way the voting works today definitely guarantees that it's all slanted in favor of the companies who have the most employees, and then they block vote for their artists, and then they win awards. And anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about today, is just the importance of independence and how they're the lifeline to the future of music. And then also to speak to independence and know what you're up against, and to help fight back against the effects of payola, even though it's not straight payola anymore, but just to be aware of it and to be savvy in the marketplace, and to just go out, make great music, and advocate wherever you can. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.